Heard that.
Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Junk Be Gone, Phoenix Conversions.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source. We are happy to have you join us today. Tennessee is going bowling after a terrible start to the season, and that's good reason to always say the season isn't based on 1 game or even 2 games, or heck, even 4 games this year when they were 1-3. Team went to 1-4, and now they're going bowling 6-5 at the moment. A tremendous turnaround. We'll talk all about that. I know folks are pleased with that, so that's kind of going to be the topic for today. But we also got some basketball to cover, a lot of news on the hoops front. So let's just get right into this thing. First segment of our program is brought to you by Junk Be Gone. And folks, you know, I get the driveway dumpster. Once a year I do the house cleaning where it's 15-yard driveway dumpster. I just don't. If I haven't touched something in the last year, I look at it and I say, okay, don't need you anymore, gone. But there are so many other things they do, not just the dumpsters. I mean, if you've got big work, you call them, they come and carry it out for you. They got a uniformed team that comes and gets it out of there, good guys. They do shredding services for your home or your office. They even do demolition work. If you've got a barn that needs to be taken down, a shed, if you need to get rid of an old boat, whatever, they could do it. Junk Be Gone, junkbegone.biz, good local company. Give them a shout this week. All right. I want to welcome in the first wave of panelists today. We have right here Max Ward's father, Josh. Congratulations on the little one. Mike Stoll right there, former Vol. We got Jimmy Himes right there. And Chuck Cavaleras down on the end, who did a good job picking 2 weeks ago. You had to pick this Tennessee, Missouri game. We'll get into that a little bit later. It's a first for the Cavaleras, for the Chucky C Note Casino. It's a first. All right, I just want to start with a biggie in my book, talking about progress for this program. It's a stat that I keep throwing out, and I have been throwing it out, about Tennessee and turnovers. They haven't been good enough to win when they don't win the turnover margin. Well, last night, first time in 21 games, you got to go back to the UTEP game, Jeremy Pruitt last year, 21 games ago, Tennessee lost the turnover battle last night, but won the football game. It has been a while, and not to mention, had the turnover and 2 blocked field goals, which, depending on, I mean, you could look at that as a turnover, and you still won the game. I think that is a sure sign of progress, that this program has not been good enough to screw up and still get the victory. Last night, they didn't play perfectly, but they got the win on the road. I thought it was a big step forward. And let's start with the guy who everybody's talking about today. You know, the coaching staff decided, let's go with Jarrett Guarantano. Even after this coaching staff had said, well, he's good off the bench. He's kind of a 6th man. They said, no, he's the best guy. Put him out there. He served him right last night. Your thoughts on the play of Jarrett Guarantano?
John, I thought he's terrific. I mean, it's only the 8th time a Tennessee quarterback's ever thrown for over 400 yards. The 415 is the 4th best mark. That also leads into 3 receivers having at least 100 yards for the first time in history. And what's interesting about him, he converted so many 3rd and longs. It was incredible. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that Auburn game last year when he had 8 3rd and 8s or more that he converted. So I was really impressed with what he did. He certainly seems to throw the intermediate and the deep ball better than he does the short passes to the running back. So, but I thought he was terrific, and I'd call it his best game in a Tennessee uniform.
Yeah, you mentioned the Auburn game. Let me go ahead, Chuck, before you answer, let me go ahead and put up the numbers, his stats from yesterday, if we can get those in there. There we go. His stats from yesterday, and you can see previous high, Auburn, Georgia State, ironically, and Kentucky way back in 2017. Chuck.
Well, you can tell he's more decisive, right? I mean, that's one of the things. In spreading the ball around, 3 receivers with over 100 yards. And Jimmy, you said it. I was going to ask, that's his best game since when as a starter? I mean, don't you have to go back to the Auburn game?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what, and doing all this without the running game. Really being able, I mean, if that was really clicking, you could see, well, yeah, that's why he's playing so well. But no, he's playing well in spite of not having a good running game.
And when you put up those big numbers, you know, he took some shots. He always manages to take some shots. And he's a tough kid. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a Tennessee quarterback that takes as many hits as this guy does. That said, even though he took hits, to have that many deep shots last night that he took, deep down the fence, you got to give the offensive line credit.
Well,
because he hangs in there and gets hits, but they gave him enough time.
Well, when you take deep shots, you got to hold the ball longer, and you know you're going to get hit. Quarterback knows, hey, I'm going to take a risk here. I'm probably going to get a hit. I'm probably going to get smacked. But I think the other thing that kind of goes unnoticed is I think Jim Chaney now has more confidence in what he's doing, and I think we are not giving Jim Chaney enough recognition. I think we're seeing with Georgia, with the amount of talent that they have, the way that they're playing, he's a pretty darn good offensive coordinator, and I think now he really yesterday took advantage of what Missouri offered at them. So him and Garantano and Chaney are kind of on the same page.
And Missouri has some injuries. Their back end, they gave up 300 yards passing to Florida the week earlier, but they knew where the weak spots were, and they targeted them. Josh, your thoughts?
Yeah, Jim Chaney gets credit there for knowing that you have a weakness out there on that corner. They're all SEC corner. DeMarcus Stacey's not playing, so Chaney says, let's go at him. We have elite wide receivers. Let's make some plays. It's funny how many times in October did we hear Tennessee can't win if Jarrett Garantano is playing, and it turns out that Tennessee really couldn't win too many games if he weren't out there playing. And in this game, they had to have him go throw the ball 40 times, and his receivers get a ton of credit too, of course. Yeah. But they had to go throw the ball 40 times, and he was able to. He took care of the ball, he delivered, and Tennessee's in the position because of that.
It's an incredible turnaround. It's just a remarkable for the team, but even more so for that one player. The ESPN broadcast crew came in last night, and clearly that was their storyline of the night because they brought up the rogue play 500 times. It's like, have you seen them since then? There have been games in between here, but. The turnaround for him, just the fact that he talked last night about death threats that he was getting, which happens in this day of social media and morons, death threats, and now you go all the way and people are crying him the hero again. So
a lot of opinions out there from a month or two ago that fans would like to have Junk Be Gone come kick up.
Get shred them. That's right. And then we will also say that last night after the game, he did make a comment. It's being taken as he's coming back. I saw the comment. I'm not sure in terms of reading it. It didn't read like a guarantee he'll return. It was basically, I'm a Tennessee Vol. I've put my heart, mind, and soul into this. We got 2 more games this year. We got next year. It's just really good. I'm a Tennessee Vol. It sounded almost like a let's not talk about this right now kind of a placeholder. I may be wrong. He may come out and say today, I'm definitely coming back. But I know people are saying he's back. I don't know that that's a guarantee at this point.
John, after you throw for 400 yards and beat Missouri, did anybody think he would say, I'm not coming back?
I'm out of here.
So I don't put a lot of stock in it. Let's see where he is in the spring, or let's see where he is in August. It's changed the narrative, though, from, he's definitely not coming back 4 weeks ago to pretty good chance he comes back, and your quarterback situation looks a whole lot better now if he does, you would think, than if he doesn't.
Certainly with depth and experience, he would help. Let's talk about the offense in general. He wasn't perfect last night. Let's put up some stats here. Get chunky. He wasn't perfect. His passing percentage wasn't great. His yards per attempt were through the roof, though. But this offense just isn't a precision passing attack. They ranked 8th in the league in passing. Rushing offense, it's still 12th out of 14 teams. That was going into yesterday. I don't think those numbers improved yesterday with another 3.5-yard average. It's a chunk play offense. You look at where they are in terms of yards per pass attempt, 7.9, that's 4th in the SEC. And if you took the other guys out of it, that probably goes even higher with just Garantano's numbers. Against Missouri last night, 15 pass plays of 15 or more yards, 9 pass plays of 20 or more yards, 3 pass plays of 30 or more yards. Guys, it looked like Auburn last year. This offense isn't ground and pound. It's not cut you to death with 1,000 paper cuts kind of a passing game. It's we got to drop back and take our shots and let these receivers go up and make plays. I don't know that that's always a consistent type of offense, but I don't think there's any question. That is who they are.
Yeah, well, and you see what Missouri did. Missouri went in and they stacked 8 guys in the box. When you put 8 guys in the box, you just don't have enough people to block them. They went man-to-man coverage. They saw the exploitations there and used it. I do think the run game needs to keep improving. And it's kind of surprising because they have some younger guys, and it's a lot easier to run block than it is to pass block. So it's kind of a shout out to those younger guys because when you're pass blocking, that's a whole different world versus just laying your ears back and run blocking. But they have to get better in that. But also, Missouri dictated you got to throw the ball.
I'm also struck by the premise that I just think Garantano throws the intermediate or the deep pass better. One of the few times he tried to throw it to running back, it was almost a
Yeah, they need to take
I
that little
think-
swing
I think
pass
they
to the
got-
right out of the playbook.
I think they got a break. That did look like a lateral.
I thought it was too.
I thought that should've been lost
And he
yard.
threw it hard, and he threw
Yeah.
it behind him, and it's like this guy can make a 15-foot putt, but don't give him a 3-footer. Because
Yeah.
it's going to be tough.
Kind of
But
like
I-
Jordan Spieth was going through some of that,
Yeah,
it seems like.
but
yeah.
it's fun, and that's one reason I think we haven't seen him throw that much to the running backs. That's not right for whatever reason this year. It's not one of his better passes.
Mike, still one concern coming out of that game last night would have to be the fact, you've counted on Brett Samaglia all year. He's only missed 2 kicks. Last night you have 2 blocked. As a former offensive lineman who's been on the field for a lot of made kicks and a couple of big blocks.
But it wasn't my fault.
Wasn't your fault?
It wasn't my fault.
Somewhere Antonio Davis and Charles McCray are screaming at the television.
It's
It
not
was
my
stolen.
fault. It's not my fault.
The Alabama 1990. Did you pick up on anything that was specific?
Yeah, so the first one I noticed when they went out and kicked, and so let me tell you this: if on a field goal protection, it's the toughest thing an offensive lineman can do because you're stepping down, you don't get any forward momentum, and a guy's just teeing off on you. You got a guy, and he knows I'm just going to run you over and try and get to the kicker. So it's very tough to do. So when you step down, what I saw in the first block kick was different levels, guys on different levels. So if you lean forward and the other guy leans back, there's a seam there for them to hit. So I saw at the center fell forward. A couple guys came back. It really came pressure from the right side, and that's where it was blocked, which I think after that happened, all of a sudden it spiraled out of control, and it wasn't the same thing. I may
Gotcha.
talk about that later. But
3 up, 3 down?
That's exactly
Okay.
right.
All right, we'll hold off there. All right, very good. Guys, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Missouri offense scoring. They haven't been scoring. They scored against Tennessee's defense. Any concerns there that Tennessee allowed Derek Dooley to get on the board? And then we'll also talk about Jeremy Pruitt. I had people all week say, well, you got to give him a raise and extension, don't you? I'll ask Chuck and Jimmy down here, after I asked Josh and Mike about the defense, I'll ask Chuck and Jimmy about whether or not they should be giving a raise and extension Jeremy Pruitt. We still got Daniel and Sterling coming up a little later. Come on back on the Sports Source.